What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Enscape, and more specifically we're going to be talking about the latest release, the Enscape 3.2, and what that brings to the table in terms of new features. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction and just talk about Enscape and what it is and what it does for people that perhaps are not familiar with it. Then we're going to be talking about the material editor for Revit, which is a really cool feature for Revit users to enhance and modify your materials. Then we're going to be talking about dynamic asset placement, which is a really unique and amazing tool or a new feature for placing assets inside of your model. And also, while we're talking about assets, we're going to be talking about all of the new assets which are available with this latest release. We're also going to be talking about batch Panorama. We're going to be talking about Panorama tours. So Panorama tours are basically what takes this from a kind of a real-time rendering software into a collaboration tool, which makes kind of sharing your work with your client or with your colleagues much easier. So I really like this new feature. And then also we're just going to be talking about ray traced sun shadows in real time, which is a really nice improvement to the realism of shadows, well, as it would imply in real time. So now, before we get into the video, I just want to quickly mention that this video is sponsored by Enscape, so full disclosure there, and I'm just going to be talking about all of these new and amazing features. Now, if you don't know what Enscape is, it's a real-time rendering tool or software that can work with numerous different software. Obviously, in this video, we are all a Revit community, so we're just going to be talking about collaborating with Revit and how it works with Revit. I'm going to link up their website just below this video in the description, and then also up in the cards above. Now, here on their website here, you can learn more about it. Also, if you want to get it here for pricing, you can see you can get a completely free 14-day trial, or if you are a student, you can get a student license, so then it's free for you, which I think is really cool. And then also here you have the pricing for either a floating and a fixed seat license. So if you want to get it, you can see it's very competitively priced. And now let's start talking about the new features. So the first feature that I want to talk about, and I think this one was released a little bit earlier, before 3.2, but I think it's so important, so I think it should be mentioned, especially to the Revit community, and that is the material editor for Revit. So with Enscape, what we have now is a very extensive material library, and this material library is obviously going to get updated, and we're going to get new and better materials in the future. But already there are quite a bit of really good materials, and then you can use these materials on your Revit model. So what you can do is you can go into the Enscape's material library, and then you can import materials directly into Revit. Inside of Revit, you can use these materials, and you can take, let's say that you find a really nice brick material on the Enscape, in the Enscape material library. You import this material into Revit, and then you don't have to set everything up for this material. So for example, if you already have your brick material, some existing brick material, you have the name correct, you have all of the parameters set up, you have the let's say the fill patterns for the surface patterns, the cut patterns, everything is already set up, and you just want to replace the assets for kind of the visual part. So you can actually do that. You can just replace the appearance assets, and that's what's really cool. So you just replace that asset, you keep the same material inside of Revit, but you have the new and improved Enscape assets. And of course, if at any point you decide to make any changes to that material inside of Enscape, it's going to update immediately in Revit. So you make all of the changes, all of the edits in the Enscape material editor, and then your whole model updates as you make those changes. So I think it's a really powerful tool for enhancing Revit materials. We all know that Revit materials are kind of awful and they don't really look good. So I think it's a really powerful feature where we can kind of replace the assets and then improve them and modify them along the way if we decide that we want to do that. Okay, now let's talk about the dynamic asset placement. So let's jump into Revit first. And first, let's just talk about kind of the common method for placing Enscape assets inside of your Revit models, which is just to go here to the Enscape tab in Revit, go to Asset Library, you open up that asset library, and then you can just find the assets which you want to include in your model. So for example, here for this office building scene, we do have some kind of road and parking in front of that. So let's say we want to add a vehicle there, so I can just go here to vehicles. It's going to show all of the available assets for that. Let's take something like this, for example, this car here, and then you can just place it as a regular family. Here it's just supposed to be on the street level. There we go, and I can just hit the space key to rotate that, and then I can place that asset here in Revit, hit the escape key a few times to escape out of that. So that's the conventional way so far. Now with the new release and with the dynamic asset placement, if I just open up Enscape here, you can see I already have it opened up. Here's we can take a look at the building, and this is that car that I have placed here. So we have that car. Now with this new approach, I can now place assets straight from Enscape. So this is really powerful because you can place assets in Revit, which will automatically appear in Enscape, and then you can place assets in Enscape, which will automatically appear in Revit. So it's kind of a two-way street, which is really powerful. So we go here to the asset library. It's going to open up the asset library here. As you can see, we have all of those same assets as we had in Revit. You can search here for the categories. For example, let's say I want to add some people, so let's go here to people. Let's see what we have. Let's take this walking figure. It's a woman walking with a bag, and then I can just zoom in here. I can click and place that asset. Also here we have some tools where I can actually select that asset. I can move that asset if I want, so we can make some changes. Let's see here. There we go. So now I can rotate that, move it around, move the asset around, reposition that, and so on. You can even scale your assets, and once you're happy with the changes that you have made, you come in here to apply changes, and then we just wait for a moment for the changes to be applied to the model and to changes to be fed back to the Revit model. So all of the changes that we make here are going to be appearing inside of Revit as well. Here we go. So now if I just go back into Revit, as you can see here, we have that walking woman as kind of a family inside of Revit, which is really powerful. Now another cool feature that's included here with this dynamic asset placement is here you will see that we have single asset placement, but then also we have a multi-asset placement. Now this is really good in situations where you will want to place multiple assets. So let's say I'm just going to click on this, and then you have a couple of options here below. You have a rectangular selection, you have a circular selection, and then you have a bucket selection. So let's say I want to have just a few more people here on the sidewalk, and let's say I actually want to have a lot of people on the sidewalk. So in that case, what I would do is here I would select multiple assets here, just like that. So here, as you can see, we have 4 selected assets, and then I would click once here, click once here, for example, and then here I can control the width of that of that rectangle. Here we have some tools where I can control the density. So as I said, if I want a lot of people here, it doesn't make sense for me to place each of these assets individually. Here I can just kind of quickly generate a lot of assets inside of that one rectangle that I have created. Here we have the distribution. It can be random, it can be jitter, or it can be something that's called uniform, so it's a kind of a more uniform positioning. I like the random one. And also here we have random rotation, or well, non-random rotation. Also you can click here to preview. So if I just zoom in here, let's see, just like that. So I just want to preview what this would look like if it was kind of actually kind of downloaded, and what it's going to look like once it's finished. I can just preview that, and as you can see, it's just going to start showing me all of those assets, how they would look like. So I'm just going to turn that off for now, and then you can either regenerate if you're not happy with this, or you can just confirm placement, which is what I'm going to do now, and then you can just apply those changes. And again, we're just feeding all of that information back into Revit. And you can see here that everything was successfully imported from Enscape, all of this group of people. Now there is one more thing that I really find exciting here, and that is if I just go back to Enscape here, you have this option like a bucket selection. Now what this does is basically it takes a surface, and then you can use that surface as kind of a selection. So as you can see here, I can select kind of the whole grass surface that we have here, the topography from Revit. Now this, yeah, it does work in some situations if you want to add trees here or something like that, but what really makes this exciting, at least for me, is that what you can do is if I go back here into Revit, you can actually go to your site plan, and then in your site plan, if I just go here to masking and site, go to subregion, I can create a subregion here on this model, and I can use a spline, for example, if I want to make it kind of weirdly shaped. So for example, I can go with something like this, let's say, and then just to kind of finally connect it here, I can use a simple line. Let's just use the tab key to find that point. Okay, did I connect it properly? No. Sometimes it's really hard to connect these in the end, so let's try that again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so once I have like a subregion like this, and let's just give it a different material just to kind of make it visually different. So I can go and set this to, I don't know, like sand, whatever. It's just for it's just a kind of a temporary change. So anyways, I've changed this into sand, and now if I go back here into Enscape, you'll see that now here, if I just take a look, as you can see, we have this big sand surface around the back, and now I can select that. So I can let's just uncheck all of these people, and let's, instead of people, let's go to vegetation. Let's find some trees, and then I'm just going to select the surface, and I'm going to place trees on that. So let's see, tree. So as you can see, we have a lot of different trees. Let's use this one, and this one, for example. So we have these 3 trees, and I can just select this this subregion that I have created, and as you can see, it's going to generate some trees on there. Of course, you can kind of play around with the density of the trees and so on. You can randomize it and so on. So let's say I'm happy with the layout as it is right now. I can go here, confirm the placement, and apply those changes, and now it's going to generate those trees and load them back into Revit as well. And now once those trees have been generated on that subregion that I have created, I can simply go back here into Revit. I can select that subregion, and then I can just simply delete that. So I have kind of created that temporary subregion just in order to display in which area I want my trees to be. Obviously, if I were to select the entire surface, we would have some trees on this side, and I don't know, in the corners there, and so on. So this is a good way to kind of control where you're going to spread your, in this case, vegetation, but it can work for any possible type of asset. Okay, now let's talk about Batch Panorama. So here you'll see that I'm in my view management, and you can see I have created some views just inside of this office building, just to kind of showcase what do we have here, what that building looks like. Here I have like the little office and so on. So let's say that we want to export these as panoramas. So what I'm going to do here is go to batch rendering. It's going to open up this menu. Let's see if I can make it a bit smaller. I guess I cannot. So anyways, I'm just going to go here and select all of the views that I want to render. Then here we have an option to render. In this case, I'm going to go with mono panoramas. So just click on that, and it's just going to start exporting those mono panoramas. So it's just kind of one click, we start rendering, and then you can let your computer do its work, and you can do work on something else, or you can go sleep. Usually after big projects, you just want to go and sleep. So Enscape will do the rest of the work. Okay, so now once that is done, I can just go back here into Revit, and then here let's go to the Enscape tab. Let's go to Upload Management. And here I'm just going to upload all of those new panoramas to the cloud. So let's just wait for a few moments for everything to load in. And now I can just come in here and make sure that I upload all of the panoramas that I want to use, and I want to use them for my panorama tour, which is what I'm going to be showing you how to create in just a few moments. Now here on the Enscape website, if I just go here to my account, and here I have the projects that they've been working on. So this is the office building project. So if I just open that up, now we can use the panoramas which we've uploaded, and we can construct a panorama tour. So let me show you how that works. So you can go here and you can create a mono panorama gallery. So let's just click on that. I'm going to select all 6 panoramas that they have here. I'm going to go to start editing. That's going to open up this new window, and now here you're going to see all of those panoramas. Now this is really cool. Just like this, you can go down here, you can open up and see like where the rest of them are, and then you can toggle in between those. But what makes this even cooler is this option here that we have, which allows us to create a tour. So we turn this into a tour. You have like the option to show 2 waypoints or show all waypoints. So 2 waypoints basically means that you can then select next one, and next one, and show all viewpoints is something that I prefer, which is just going to give us these little buttons which we can then click on to move around. So for example, in this case, I want to move here. I just click and it's going to move here in the hallway. I want to go back here to this space. I can go back. I can go here to the little break room. So just click there. And as you can see, you can just use these circles on your screen to navigate around. So I can click here. So now we're here. I can go, let's see, this is the, I think this is the conference room. Yeah, so I can see the conference room, and then I can click here to go to that kind of office, executive office, or whatever you want to call this. So it's a really cool way for navigating around. Now when you have a lot of these, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky at first, but I think it's a really powerful way of presenting. And what's the best thing about this is that you can save this, and then also you can add more panoramas, or you can actually share this. So you can send this to your client, you can send this to your colleagues, and they don't really have to, you can, let's save this, let's call it the office building. Okay, so I'm just going to save this, and then I can send this to whoever, and they can open it up without having to have anything installed on their computer. They can just open up a link and they can go through this and explore the Panorama tour, which I think it's really cool. And for the final feature that I would like to talk about in this video, and that is the ray trace sun shadows in real time. So what this basically means is that if I just navigate this around, perhaps zoom in a bit closer here where we have some shadows from this building, something that you'll notice, perhaps if we look down here at this shadow here, so you can see that the shadow, and let's perhaps increase that shadow a little bit, yeah, like that. Okay, so here you can see that the shadow, the closer it is to the actual object, it's sharper, but the further away you get, it gets softer. And this is actually what it looks like in real life. This is how shadows work in real life. And now it's really good to have this inside of Enscape. You have this feature where shadows are automatically going to become softer the further away they are from the object that's casting the shadow, and they're going to become sharper closer they are to the object that's casting the shadow. Obviously, you can always go to your visual settings. You can go to atmosphere, and here you can control the shadow sharpness. As you can see, this, if you make it sharper, it's essentially controlling kind of the further away position of that shadow. And then of course, if you want to make it less sharp, it can be really kind of blurry if you kind of crank this all the way down. Obviously, I can just kind of reset it to, let's say, 50%. So there you go, that's the shadow sharpness. Now this is available in real time, and I think it looks really good, and it helps out with the whole realism inside of Enscape. So that's going to conclude this quick overview of all of the new features. I would like to ask you to tell me in the comment section below this video, what do you think about that first feature that they've talked about, the material editor for Revit. I think it's a really powerful feature, and it is a little bit complicated, so I couldn't really go in depth into that in this whole video because I wanted to cover all of the new features. But if you would like a separate video just on that topic, please tell me in the comment section below, and then we can make that happen. I hope you have enjoyed this. If you want to get like a full kind of official list of the new features, I'm going to link it up in the cards above, so make sure to check it out. Make sure to check out all of the links in the description if you want to get Enscape and start playing around with this. You can see this whole model. This is straight out of Revit. I haven't made any modifications to this model, and it already looks so much better just kind of out of the box, just running it through Enscape. It looks so much better. So I think it's a really powerful engine, especially or really powerful software, especially when you start adding more assets, more elements. I think it becomes really powerful. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.